Like you pointed out this article to me, some news on Fidelity that they've created their own metaverse. Is that right?
Yeah, that's my understanding of it. They,
I shouldn't say a
uh,
metaverse, but like their own little thing in the
yeah,
metaverse.
they're coordinates within the
Hmm.
metaverse.
Yeah, did you
I
notice
don't.
that? Did you notice the coordinates thing? I thought that was kind of weird.
I did notice that. Yeah, I saw it on LinkedIn, and they it was just like an advertisement kind of thing where they were saying we've launched a new what they call it, I forget the name of it, but it was like a Fidelity verse or whatever.
Right,
And
it's some corny name, I'm sure.
yeah, and
Which I
that had
have
the
to,
coordinates.
yeah, and I thought it's on its Decentraland, which is a decentralized, um, like it's a decentralized metaverse platform. So Meta's trying to do, the Facebook, whatever is confusing. Meta, the company, is trying to do a more centralized platform, and Decentraland is doing a decentralized platform. But it sounds like they created it on Decentraland, which is kind of interesting because it's not, a big name company.
I've never even heard of them before. So I'm guessing they did it through there, like, because it's like, is it free? I'm assuming.
Yeah, it's not actually. I shouldn't say it's a company. It's just like a free platform that you can make stuff on. You buy
I see.
land and stuff and make your thing. So I'm assuming they went through and did that process. Um, it looked very. Oh, let's just watch the video of it really quick, and then we can come back to this.
Okay.
At Fidelity, we're all about engaging and informing a new generation of investors. And it's taking us to some exciting places. Introducing the Fidelity Stack, only in Decentraland. It's not our first metaverse rodeo, but we are the first brokerage firm to have an immersive, educational metaverse experience. The Fidelity Stack is gamified, interactive, and educational, where you can learn about the metaverse, investing basics, and our new Fidelity Metaverse ETF. So drop in, cut loose, and share your thoughts. We're evolving right along with Web3 to continue driving innovative financial experiences. See you in the metaverse.
Okay, so what I get from that, it looks very. I saw the little coordinates, and then it looks very to me like the Second Life almost.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like a social thing.
Yeah, and I is I think the reason why people are pushing for it now is that with the VR headsets, it can actually be immersive, and I think sort of like when the internet first came out, there was a big rush to create websites, to get your domain in and create your website and have an internet presence. Um, and also, there's platforms built on top of the internet like Facebook, Instagram, and all these different platforms, YouTube. And there was also a rush to create your own social media platform too on top of that. I think this is just the next step, next thing you have to build on. They're probably going to make one within the Facebook platform. They'll probably make one within whatever the Microsoft platform turns out to be, and so on. It's like another extension of the internet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, I think
And
you're
it's
right.
it's a more interactive version of it. Do I think people who have headsets are actually going to look at that? I really don't think so. Not very many. But the only people I could see actually looking at that right now are people who are really into it. I don't
I
think
mean,
it's mass adoption at this point by any means.
yeah, I mean, it's yeah, like what I guess like the Fidelity one, it's a way to get information, or I don't know, maybe it's just like an ad. What do you think?
I think it's a way to. Well, I think it's partly an advertisement. Like, look what we're doing. We're cool. There's definitely that. That's the same thing. Like people back in the late '90s, though. You have to compare it to the late '90s and mid '90s when the internet was first coming out. Everybody, there was a big rush to make websites. I remember, and I thought, like, who's looking at this website? Do you remember thinking that? Like, who's actually looking at this stuff?
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? I don't know if you actually thought that. You might have been too young, but I remember thinking that. Like, do people actually look at these websites?
It felt
And
like it was out in the void.
right, but there was a small community of enthusiasts and people who were into it that did check out the websites and thought it was important. AOL chat rooms was another big thing. That was the first popular version of it. And I think that's sort of like the Facebook's Horizon Worlds and the Decentraland type thing. The first iteration of it's kind of corny and not the greatest, but over time, I'm sure their little Fidelity Land will probably get better over time. They'll keep developing it, just like their websites
Yeah,
get better.
I mean, I think like the end vision in all this is like it would become like the whole metaverse would just become like a VR world,
VR world,
and
you could hop
and
in
all
between
these
them.
companies, yeah, you can just hop in between them, and it's easy to use. And if you're wanting to learn about something in an interactive way, that's the way you would do it.
Right. I mean, it's just like you hop to a website, hop to different websites. It's the same thing. You'll hop to this Fidelity website or world and interact with it, and that's how you can interact with it. And it's a different way to do it. I think it's going to take some time for people to really take it seriously, though, and actually do it. But it could be really useful. What I imagine is Fidelity could actually have full-time employees in this Decentraland to answer questions in person, which is much more helpful than just some chat bot or the phone.
That's true. That is a good use for it.
But right now it wouldn't make sense to do that because there's not enough adoption. But once there's more adoption, you would have a lot more presence and feeling of being there. And I think this is what Second Life wanted to accomplish, but they were trying to do it on one platform, and it was too old and way too soon. Although I'm sure Second Life's going to adopt some of these things. It'll probably be another platform people use, but it's almost like built on too old a technology.
Yeah, yeah, I think you're right.
And I don't think it would really work. But I'm sure there's people
But
who always use it. But
the current iteration of metaverse, or at least how companies are implementing their stuff, I think we said this last week. It looks just like Second Life. It's really weird.
well, it looks like it, but it honestly that in particular looked better than. I don't know if you've ever actually played Second Life or you did it. It
Yeah,
was
that
pretty
looked better than
bad.
Second Life.
It was
That
pretty
did,
bad.
but I mean, it just has that feel to it. I don't know.
Hmm. Well, but you also got to remember you're not sitting there playing on your desktop. It's not 2D. You're walking around with your virtual.
That's a good point.
So it's more. That's why I think it'd be useful if you could see other people. Like it's supposed to just be adding more dimensions to the internet space. So if you could walk around it, see other people walking around it, it would just make visiting Fidelity more interesting.
Yeah, yeah.
The only thing that's kind of weird that I just thought about, that I wonder if this will actually be an issue in the future, is individuals who are assholes who will go to, say, Fidelity and act like a total belligerent jerk to people. I wonder how that will work. How they'll be able to police that.
I'm sure like each company would have like moderators or something.
Yeah. The security officers of the metaverse.
Yeah, basically.
You do. I used to kind of make fun of people who did that, but you actually do need that, especially with all the spots out there these days.
Well, I bet like the metaverse isn't really gonna be anonymous. I imagine it's gonna be very like your personal, like it's gonna be connected to like your Facebook and your Google and all that, and so I feel like a lot of people are gonna be like who they are.
Well, Meta is already pushing for you not to have to connect your Facebook to the Meta platform because that was a big.
Oh, really? Okay.
You can do that. I think personally, because we've already seen the internet, I think you'll have your personal account and you'll have accounts that represent a company or represent an idea or represent something totally different. I think there'll be both.
Yeah.
You could
Yeah, you're
represent
right.
yourself or you could represent this entity or whatever you're doing. You know what I mean?
I just imagine like I don't know. I feel like people like having like anonymous people on there. Um, I could see companies not wanting that. I don't
Well,
know.
it's the same thing as when people go to their visit their website for general information. They're not giving all their names and details to it right away to find out general information. Now, I think eventually there will actually be there will be like sit downs with advisors and stuff in the metaverse. I think that could be a potential selling point to give it more presence. So
Yeah.
instead of doing stuff over the phone or having to travel somewhere that may be far away or something, there could be individuals in the metaverse, sitting down with people to make it have a better feel to it instead of just a Zoom call or whatever.
Right. Right.
And it may not
Yeah.
be. It may not be. I don't think it'll look like that. I think it'll look a lot better, and it might actually be more of an augmented reality thing that takes off better. But I think they're just trying to push these new technologies. Because I remember a lot of the websites when they first came out were really goofy and almost like I remember they almost had overly animated things that happened. Do you know what I'm talking about? And then it's like it was just a bunch
Yeah.
of bloat, and it wasn't actually what the internet was going to be. But they were just trying to make it cool. You remember some of those websites that were made like crap that just had like pew, 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 and all these different things?
Oh yeah, it was just like a bunch of gifs and stuff.
Some websites were so bad back in the day. I don't know.
It seems like everybody's just trying to stake their claim right now.
Right. I think it's just an early thing. I would never use it right now, but it's interesting that people are doing it, and it kind of lends credence to what Meta's trying to do. And because I think they see how important it is. It also shows like Napa getting into it, just random companies doing it. Companies you wouldn't think of as tech companies. I think it's going to be all companies. Because I remember when Facebook first came out, it was kind of weird people making Facebook profiles for their businesses, but that turned into everybody doing it. And it's just another adoption thing.
Yeah, you're right.
I think. There's another interesting development with Fidelity that I included in here too. Is they're going to be offering Bitcoin in their 401k plan soon. They said there's already a company doing this, and I'm assuming they meant MicroStrategy because MicroStrategy is already said that they are allowing their employees to invest in Bitcoin in their 401ks. Do you think that's a good thing, or do you think that's an irresponsible thing?
I mean, if people want to invest in Bitcoin, I think they should be able to. So
It's
I
a
don't
good
see
thing.
problem with it.
It's more choice. Well, Warren Buffett and Charlie Munger, I didn't include this, but I just saw it today, in their Berkshire Hathaway meeting, said that doing this is a scam, and Warren Buffett said if he could have all the Bitcoin, he wouldn't pay $25 for all the Bitcoin in the world.
Well, I mean, like,
He's an idiot.
yeah. I mean, he's totally wrong, but I mean, it's Bitcoin. It's not like they're letting people buy Shiba Inu or Dogecoin or something.
Right. And I think Fidelity is going to slowly start offering Bitcoin, Ethereum, the top market stuff, the top shelf stuff. Hopefully, Solana. That'd be good for me. But reality is, I mean, a lot of people are suggesting you do 2% into crypto. So if everybody adopted that, that would add billions and billions of dollars. And the price action, it would actually increase Bitcoin by quite a lot if that actually happened. So it could be a good bullish thing for Bitcoin.
And yeah, that's definitely a step in the right direction.
Because they have like $5 trillion in asset management, and it would add a lot of value to crypto if they allowed that. So that's from that perspective, it's definitely a good thing. But I think it should be offered because if you could buy a penny stock in your 401k, which my plan allows me to do that, I should be able to buy Bitcoin too.
Yeah.
Doesn't make any sense. I mean, and I think Bitcoin is way less risky than a penny stock. So, to me, a penny stock is like buying a crap crypto. It's about the same thing.
Yeah, you're right. It's also good because this is making like buying cryptocurrencies even more accessible, which I think has been a problem.
Yeah, I think so too. And some people only do investments in their 401k. They don't even mess with anything else. That's all they do.
Yeah. And really, I think most people, that's how they do it.
Yeah, right, yeah. or IRAs, and this would include. Actually, I don't know if it includes IRAs, but that I'm sure that'll be next. If they can get a spot ETF made, it could be available for anybody with any kind of investment plan.
If a spot ETF, what do you mean?
An ETF where the money that goes into the ETF is going to directly be buying Bitcoin. So it'd be a custodial account for Bitcoin, essentially. So
Okay.
it would correlate with the price directly. It would be literally like you're buying Bitcoin,
I got you.
but it's wrapped in a stock wrapper, in an ETF wrapper, just like when you buy like a S&P 500. You're not technically buying a company. You're buying you are, I guess. You're buying a wrapping of all the S&P. So it would be you're buying a fund that is just buying Bitcoin with the funds that they get.
Right, and so it basically is a 1-to-1.
It's basically 1-to-1. I'm sure there'd be an expense for that, but it'd be so small it wouldn't really matter that much. But there'd have to be some kind of expense. It's still better to just buy Bitcoin directly, but that would be
You don't want to deal with like a wallet and all that.
You don't want to deal with the wallet. You don't want to deal with the only places you can only buy the crypto exchanges, Robinhood included, and Cash App's one too, and you can buy it in a lot of places now, PayPal, but they're not as geared. Well, Robinhood and the crypto exchanges are. I'd say Robinhood's probably the most integrated with all the different apps, and Cash App's probably good too. But the cool thing about Robinhood is you can still do your options, your stocks, and all that stuff with it, and other cryptos. But I think it would just make it more accessible to folks who aren't as comfortable with that. And also, I think it also would make it accessible to 401k plans and IRAs, which it is not right now. So, and
Yeah.
this has already been pushed last year like 5 different times, and it's gotten denied by the SEC over and over. And because they say it's too risky or some nonsense like that. Although there's already a futures ETF on Bitcoin, which that's like futures contracts, and I'm not really sure how that works. It's not directly a 1-to-1 Bitcoin thing, so it's more like a paper Bitcoin, and that's not what I would want to buy. I'd want to buy actual Bitcoin.
I'm sure that's going to change in the future.
Well,
Like
there's so many
down to
companies. There's so many companies pushing for it. That's why if you wanted exposure to Bitcoin, probably the best way to do that is MicroStrategy, because that's literally every dollar they get, they put it into Bitcoin. So they practically are a spot ETF.
Yeah.
Except you have to have more trust though, because you have to trust the company follows that strategy. It's not like written into its law that what an ETF would be. It's like you have to buy the Bitcoin. You have to have a little more trust that the company's going to follow what they're saying. So it's not quite as good, but you could argue it's better though, because they do have a cash creating company that's actively buying the Bitcoin. You know what I mean? So there's kind of that component too.
Yeah.
So I don't know. You could argue it's better, but I would say it's more risky. I guess that's the difference. It's better probably because it is a company too, but it's more risky, I guess. So does this legitimize the metaverse, or do you think it'll completely crumble in the future? I think we already discussed that. I think it.
Yeah, I've already covered that.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely is a legitimate thing, but it's not going to crumble for sure.
At Fidelity, we're all about engaging in